Welcome to the first lecture at the Oslo Association of Architects in 2021. I will give a short introduction in Norwegian before the organizers will present, and the lecture will continue in English. Velkommen til årets første forelesning hos Oslo Arkitektforening. I dag fra hjemmekontor. Mitt navn Tone Selm-Olsen, og jeg leder Oslo Arkitektforening. Og jeg skal si litt kort om hva som programmet hos oss denne våren før forelesningen starter. Vi vil fortsette vår digitale forelesningsserie Nye former, hvor vi har invitert toneangivende arkitekter og kontorer som Mary Duggan, Karamukuo og Francisca Torso, for å nevne noen, utenom kveldens gjester, Bovenbouw. OAFs debattserie, Arkitektprat fortsetter. Denne sesongen vil diskusjonene dreie seg rundt arkitektenes handlingsrom, og være en samtaleserie om hvilke ansvar, roller, muligheter arkitektene har i diskusjoner rundt kvalitet og utvikling. Vi håper altså å by på ulike perspektiver, fra arkitekter rundt i Europa, men også aktuelle diskusjoner om bransje og Oslo står på agendaen. Vi håper at det faglige programmet hos OAF vil by på arkitektursamtaler på tvers av grenser, om fag, om bransje, belyse arkitektens posisjon og handlingsrom. Og så kommer vi vel ikke unna hvordan pandemi påvirker både vår hverdag og praksis. Utover forelesninger og debatter, så har vi også drevet mye på med mye annet i foreningen, men det blant annet priser og stipender. Vi deler ut årlig et etterutdanningsstipend, og det vil bli annonsert på vårt arrangement den 11. mars. Samme dato så vil vi også annonsere vinneren av den 49. i rekka av Sundspremier. Sundspremie, det utdeles til en i arkitektonisk henseende fremragende privatbygning oppført på Oslo bys grunn. Og den deles ut annethvert år, og ble faktisk utdelt første gang i 1908. Vi skal også dele ut Oslo Arkitektforenings arkitekturpris i løpet av året, så der i løpet av våren så vil vi søke etter kandidater og nominasjoner. Det er jo fremdeles for tidlig å si om våren blir helt digital. Vi håper jo ikke det. Men uansett så kan vi love stor variasjon i program og aktivitet. Nå har jeg sagt bare noe av det som står på programmet, og det vi jobber med i foreningen også. Og så lover vi uansett at vi skal skynde oss å lage fysiske arrangementer på Arkitektenes hus om og når det lar seg gjøre. Så gjerne følg oss på sosiale medier for oppdatert informasjon om ulike arrangementer. Og så håper jeg at vi ses på neste arrangement også, som Arkitektprat tirsdag 9. februar, som blir ledet av debattkomiteen, hvor temaet blir maktdrevet arkitektur. Da skal jeg gi ordet videre til programkomiteen og Hanna Birkeland Berg.
Takk. Yeah, I would again like to welcome everyone to this year's first lecture here at OAF. Still within the same lecture series that we have decided to call Nye former or New Forms. And I would quickly like to introduce some additions to the program committee. First, Tale Marker, who is the new student assistant and technical coordinator. And Paul-Antoine Lucas, who is the new member of the program committee. So welcome to both of you, and then I will give the word on to you, Sigrun.
Thank you, Hanna. We are very happy to introduce Dirk Sommers, who will give the lecture tonight. He studied architecture in Antwerp and Milan, graduating in urban and environmental planning at KU Leuven. And together with Erik Wiers in 2001, he started Housework Architecten, and in 2011, Sommers founded Bovenbouw Architectuur, which has received both national and international acclaim. Their practice works with buildings and places from different periods and styles in an engaging and thoughtful way. And in their own words, Bovenbouw builds irrelevant buildings that convey the right things about the city. Bovenbouw makes architecture that can be itself, freed from the compulsive desire to be avant-garde. Some of their current projects include an elementary school in Edegem, a care facility in Oostende, Belgium, several residential schemes, both new build and refurbishments, and a fire station in Barendrecht, among other things. Bovenbouw Architectuur has taken part in several exhibitions at the Biennale in Venice, in Munich, Mendrisio, Aachen, London, and Antwerp. And Sommers also teaches at the University of Delft, University of Technology in Delft, and Ghent University, as well as different design schools in Antwerp and Brussels. And now I will hand you over to Dirk Sommers of Bovenbouw. Thank you.
Thank you, Sigrun, for the nice introduction. Thanks for the invitation. In other circumstances, I would be in Oslo now, which would be quite amazing, but well, it's a bit different. Anyway, when I got the invitation, I thought a little bit like, oh damn, because I went to Oslo 3 or 4 years ago. So then you think like, you always like the invitation to the place you want to visit soon on your agenda, obviously. But now, I've been many times to Norway, but I think especially in winter, I think it was really magical to not just see the city, but to go hiking in the mountains. I think that was maybe one of the most wonderful holidays, ever actually. So I think that the winter is really special, and well, a lot less tourists, obviously, but underestimated the Scandinavian winters. Okay. Well, I have to say this is my second online lecture. It will look a lot like the first one, but that was in Dutch for a, let's say, mainly Belgian audience. That shouldn't be a problem. Unless you're Belgian and you've already seen this lecture, then you can now switch to another YouTube channel. Anyway, I think the challenge with these online lectures is to get some sort of proximity. So what you are seeing here is my iPhone strapped with 2 rubber bands to a tripod, and what you can't see is that this table is full of books, and I will switch from a PowerPoint to my phone once in a while, so the whole thing in a way gets a little bit more of an intimacy, I hope, compared to watching a PowerPoint all of the time. So I'm gonna start screen sharing. And it will be a little bit clumsy, obviously, I guess. It's already getting clumsy because this is not. I'm gonna start with the QuickTime view and with a book, a book which I'm gonna look a bit with the lamp. Okay, a book which I stumbled onto quite recently, and it's actually a PhD of Dimitri Porphyrios, a Greek living in London, but it's essentially a PhD on Alvar Aalto. So I will refer to some Scandinavian stuff quite a lot, but I'm afraid it's a lot of Swedish Finnish stuff. I hope you won't hate me for that. Anyway, what I really liked about this book is, and I'll try to make it so a bit clear for you. What I really like is at a certain point, Porphyrios makes the split between architecture, which he calls homotopical, and he's actually referring here to Mies and Le Corbusier, and architecture which is heterotopical. And then he's showing quite some plans of Alvar Aalto, obviously. And to me, that made a lot of sense in two ways. On the level of of the modernist mind being some sort of an idea of a system which kind of envelopes our planet, something recurrent, something structuring, and then on the other hand, an idea on architecture which is much more about diversity, heterogeneity, the proximity of differences. And normally we talk about modern stuff, and then we talk about other stuff, and we refer to things like context or the locale, or the rootedness. But I think with this distinction between the homotopical and the heterotopical, it's not so much about that juxtaposition, but it's much more about this joy of making things which are complex, bringing together differences. Also in the city, producing a difference in a productive way, but not so much with words like context or rootedness. Not so much this Heidegger or maybe Norbert Schultz kind of idea of things growing out of the soil, but rather a more an excitement which is about thinking associatively, thinking freely about how things can meet each other and mix up, which I think is fundamentally different from the rootedness in a way. So and that's something we're really interested in. So the book's full of these. Well, I'm just showing you pictures because that's easy. Essentially, Porphyrios also makes the point that Aalto is in that sense a very atypical modernist because he's very fascinated by this heterogeneity. Let's say Villa Mairea is very much a unity, but it's also hyper diverse as such. And the collage in a way. So yes, in a way, this is a way for us to enjoy. Yeah, and I forgot something. What's also super interesting is that now I come back to Scandinavia. Is that Porphyrios describes how the English arts and crafts movement kind of traveled to the United States, and there you had people like Richardson and McKemmet and White making very exciting buildings. So I'll just, we are familiar with the arts and crafts. This is an amazing book by a German on the arts and crafts. But essentially, it traveled through to the US, and then in a way, by an exhibition set up in Sweden, it kind of entered the Scandinavian scene. So I'm not a good historian, but people like Laurens Asplund, they were all involved in in kind of picking this up. I also like these. This is also something Ragnar Östberg built a Stockholm City Hall. I think you can really distinguish the atmosphere of a building like that also in the City Hall, in Oslo. I think it's a really exciting building because of its richness and the eclectic atmosphere which you can find there. But essentially what I'm after by bringing it up is that rather than talking about rootedness and locality and context, there's something very international. There's a very strong idea of exchange of cultural overlayering and interpretation and referencing, which is part of architectural culture, certainly in the West, but probably it's more of a general thing, and something we really love a lot is this idea of thinking very associatively. I'm gonna switch to PowerPoint. This works. So I was thinking, should this be called a Gamleformer? But I don't know. You can make the decision afterwards. So this is us. Well, it was us 1.5 years ago, and we have this tradition of making these school classroom pictures, but with the COVID, it became a bit difficult. But it's really a nice bunch of people. Well, I'll just jump to the first project, which is a care home near the Belgian coast. Belgian coast is quite famous for being relatively short and very built up, and notoriously ugly as well. And this is a parallel road to the coast, 600 meters inland. It's a very ugly road as well, as you can see. This is the, can you see my cursor? Yes. Okay. This is the building on site. This is the very, very, very long and ugly road, but what you can see is that the road goes to the center for kilometers, but then as you can see, it kind of opens up to the landscape eventually, and the building we made is a little bit this moment where the building line starts to unravel, and you start to see something else except for buildings lining up. So we thought that was important to take into account when designing building. You see that the jump in scale is big. It's not a small building either. It's like 99 bed care home, and here you can see the street, the building line, and in a way our building made a large sweep to kind of celebrate this idea that the street opens up. And besides that, it's not just a sweep towards the landscape, it's also a new connection for bicycles going through the care home. This is a project we won through a competition, and already in the competition we said we want to use this new cycling route to get a close connection between people living there and people passing by. So we don't want to have people cycling along the care home. We want them to actually walk or cycle through the care home, which is far more exciting. I think if you know how Sterling once made Sterling and Wilford made the Stuttgart Staatsgalerie with the route going very much through the center of the building. That's a little bit, you know, the sentiment of being pulled into the scene and then exiting it again. So essentially, you have that sweep. You have a route going in. The courtyard is raised. I mean, the facade's raised, so the courtyard opens up. You can actually see this pedestrian route, which is also meant for visitors parking their car in the back. This is the courtyard. This is the cycling route in the building from the back with new allotment gardens. I think the project was a nice collaboration between the city and the client who built the care home. There's a restaurant with a large portico where you can have a drink also if you don't visit or stay the care home. We kind of materialized the building in a Flemish seaside way, which means the color of the sand of the beach and the dunes, the color of the grass which grows in the dunes, sunny, colorful sunscreens. That's basically it. So going into the building, you know, if you look at this plan, you might think it's a little bit ugly. It's kind of a messy plan. So in a way, it is fundamental, I think, to the way we approach the building, that the experience, the inside experience of the building, as a scenic experience, was the number one aim of the design. So we've been here, we've seen the building from the back. You have two addresses to enter the building. There's a lobby. You can actually do a route around here. You pass through what we call the shopping street, which is a hairdresser and a therapist and the social worker. They all have their shop window and their door. There's a space which is a silent space. We call it more the chapel. There's a restaurant, bar. There's a multifunctional space, and all these things together, they kind of make you know, the village tour. You know, going to the shops, going to the church, going for a drink afterwards, having a celebration in the multifunctional space. That's essentially how we try to compose it. These are a lot of, you know, iterations on this plan. Was really as an endeavor for us, it was really very, very hard to come up with this scenic approach on architecture without, you know, making it silly. You know? But because making differences is not so difficult, but to make them work together as an architectural whole is not so easy. This is the lobby area, and here this is an antechamber to the corridor where we have some assisted living flats. This is the shopping street with the shop windows. This is an image of the chapel. This is still unfinished picture of the chapel. This is the bar, restaurant. The small view on the courtyard, the loggia. And then we go up to the three identical residential floors. And this is, here I think the plan makes already a little bit more sense. You know, you can more easily discern a certain intentionality. We worked a long time on the plan, but you know, there's a saying by Blaise Pascal, which goes like, exception without order is chaos, but order without exception is tyranny. And the reason why I bring it up is that you know, in care homes in Belgium, the average time people spend there is around 15 to 18 months, and it's obviously in most cases the last 15 to 18 months of one's life. I mean, some people live there a lot longer and some a lot shorter, but it's a little bit a tragic situation, obviously, which came into being because we have more assisted living and more help at home, etc. I guess this is the same for most places in Europe. So it didn't really help the atmosphere of the care home to improve. So in a way, imagining designing a building for people who hardly ever get out of the building anymore is quite confronting. And I think I know of many care homes which are very successful pieces of architecture, but you know, there is this thing about rule and exception, and in architecture has to watch out not to be tyrannical in a way, not to be over consistent. So the situation certainly here, where heterogeneity is became an aim, is really fundamental to the audience, I believe. You have a question? There's a hand up. No, the hand's gone again. Okay. So just a minute. I'm gonna go. So essentially, so I already had the Asplund book. You know the Snellman Villa, obviously, which was one of the references we talked about when designing this floor plan, because the Snellman Villa is this, you know, it's kind of a boring rectangle or an L shape, but then within this boring shape you have these amazing moments, the quirky corridor which tapers with all this funny stuff built into it, you know, the amazing oval room, the angular fireplaces. So within the you know, the boring scheme, you can make very exciting moments. That's in a way the lesson we took from the Snellman house. So oops, I'm going too fast. So yes, sorry. So this is the plan. I already showed you that. And this is a little bit, you know, working on these scenes and composing them. I think there are over 30 different colors in the building. What I will do is to actually take you on a walk, on a hike through the building. Essentially, it's a courtyard building where you can circulate around. Dead ends apparently are not a good thing with these type of residents. And essentially, for quite some of them, making 1, 2, 3 tours a day is the agenda of the day. So well, it's a mix of good and bad pictures, but this is the oval room, the half oval room, which is clad in felt on one side, and we were very happy to convince the client to do wooden floors almost all over the building, certainly all over the residential parts of the building. This is the corridor. This is a boring double-loaded corridor, you could say. We're looking back at the oval room, or we look to the front, to the street in the same corridor. We use color to make the sequence of doors more easily understandable, readable. The corridor slightly kinks, so it the scene becomes a bit more landscapist or picturesque, you could also say. So it's essential to have light at the end of the corridor, but it's also nice to bend the perspective a little bit. This is the curved corridor, a single-loaded corridor along the street with a very nice view onto the ugly street. So we walk down. We all the services of the going to the rooms, the ventilation, the ducts, they all are on top of the bathroom area, so we can make the corridors higher. This is not an easy choice. Generally, all the services are put in under a system, above a system ceiling in the corridors, but we moved everything to the bathroom area of the building. But once in a while, we need to cross the corridor, and there the ceiling has to drop. This is looking back. So we have a bit more fancier floors in the specific area. This is at the corner of the sweep. So there we have another room clad in felt, in burgundy felt. It's a very popular room where some people go there, try to be the first one, and sit there all day, apparently, with their bottle of wine. This is going down the corridor. That's this corridor. This is still a picture from the building side, but here you can also see how the color is a layer which contributes to your experience of the facade as well. So we've walked down here. We've walked here. We had our wine here, and now we're going here. This is one of the. This is the other living room, which kind of is broken up into two spaces: a dining area and a sitting area. This is the sitting area, which has a curved ceiling, again in a way to give space to the ducts, which needs to cross the space, but obviously also contributing to the specificity of the room. Again, here clad in felt with a small terrace which is being shared. This is the same room. We had some friends for a tour. It actually are my parents. They said to me, "Well, we come to your tour, but as long as we can go home in the evening, we." Here you can see how the cycling path actually comes from the landscape and goes right under this room towards the street. So we've been here, and then there's still more or less we've done the whole tour. This is still a roof garden. You can see the allotments being laid out. Yeah, so that's a first project with a bit of a Scandinavian learning. This is a second one. Actually, this is my house, and these are my back neighbors. So I'm not super eager to do small refurbishments, but this one was a bit special because they're nice neighbors, but also because I have to look out onto the refurbishment. So there were two good reasons to get involved. This is a typical 19th century house, but unfortunately it had a bad makeover in the 70s or 80s, and a lot of both the outer appearance and the inside atmosphere was lost. These are some of these pictures of a typical Antwerp townhouse. You know, these stairs used to be rather special, but some of the elements were lost. The beautiful floors were taken out. Generally, you had big doors here, but now it became a bit of a narrow corridor down to the back of the building. Inside, there were some new features and some amputations, but nothing, you know, a lot of stuff which was not that great. When we designed the house, the refurbishment, the clients, they didn't have children. They like to invite guests, you know, have a bit of a they like cooking, and you know, the house could be a bit of a showpiece, maybe, rather than a traditional family house. Unexpectedly, they did become pregnant during the course of the project, but nevertheless, the project didn't change because it's not a big deal either. Anyway, the way we inhabit these 19th century houses in Antwerp is a bit like, you know, we try to keep the beautiful stuff, the old stairs, the old chimney pieces, some of the beautiful ceilings or floors. But then generally a lot of the rest we paint white, because living in a 19th century house like they really were, it was quite a heavy burden, you know, like full of dark wallpaper and dark wood, and rather baroque and gloomy. But in a way, a lot of these nice elements here were lost. So we wondered whether we could reintroduce like modern singular features, which would give us a similar atmosphere of more solitary showpieces in a fresh and white environment. Yes. Yes. So this is a drawing we've made. It's actually this idea of colorful moments here. Eventually became arranged as a sort of a diagonal of a blue, red, and yellow element, and a pink one higher up in the bathroom. And the idea that this you know, you could actually experience them also on the diagonal. We took out the nasty corridor and made a big glass screen, like almost like a big stud wall shop window to the kitchen. So this gloomy center became something very monumental. And in the back we knocked down a rather deep addition and reintroduced something we call a garden room. So a bit more like a tent in the garden, because from the section, you know, you could see the house is a bit like a tower with a tent against it. This is a bit like what happens if you drive over the design. Then you get this collage. I have to be a good driver, but it's kind of a flat arrangement of the interventions we did. And this is a view down the corridor. We kind of restored the old stair. We have the stud wall. We have a sort of a wainscoting in blue stucco, and the tent garden in the back. There's a big pivoting door. There's a lot of effort to suspend the old staircase. This is the pivoting door closed. It's kind of a joke in a way. We have the profile of a door onto the pivoting door. So if it opens, the wall opens rather than the door. So in a way, there's this moment of theatricality. Oh my god, and surprise in a way also within that idea. And so that applies to this door. And this door actually is a sliding door. So it's another version of the same joke, you could say. You can experience this idea of more of a showcase kitchen, and the perspective from the kitchen to the staircase, and the light coming down from higher up. This is going down to the tent room, living room. And this is the perspective, towards the street, with the truss and the stud wall and the wainscoting being kind of figures that communicate to each other. We had this. So one fascination maybe which relates to the house was this. James Gowan was working with Sterling in the first stage of Sterling's career, where they were partners when they did the Leicester University building, a whole, the history faculty. But this house particularly is it's kind of made out of things. We were kind of intrigued. It's a bit the hypothesis I've told you about before. It's kind of beams and sliding doors and a fireplace, very much a composition or a collage of fragments. And there's this nice Belgian office. We were kind of struggling a bit with this idea of the tent in the back, and then we made this wooden thing which was more round, and then these guys designed a nice. This is GAFPA. This is a nice Belgian office. They designed this rear extension, which was a truss and a shed roof, and when I saw it, I thought like, that this is the thing which I need. I need a truss to connect to the wainscoting and the stud wall, so they become a series. So in a way, it's also sometimes great to reference to contemporary colleagues. And I don't know if some of you have ever been to Chiswick House by Burlington. It's this Palladian house outside of London, and it's kind of the Villa Rotunda by Palladio, 200 years later. But if you visited both places, you kind of feel how exciting similarities can be in architecture, because the Villa Rotunda, in Vicenza, it's a monumental farmhouse, and it's clunky, and then you go to London and you come to this house which has a similar scheme, and it's very delicate and fragile and almost a little bit decadent. And in a way, I also like the difference here between the GAFPA extension, which is very elementary and robust, and this more decadent version of the same, with this Schinkelesque tent canopy kind of folded over. The husband is an organist and the wife is an architect. Always great to design for architects. They're always the best clients for some reason. Yes, I'll just flip through. And then higher up we have a small screen which contains a toilet and a sauna and a beam holding up the old wall which used to come down. And even higher up there's a bathroom which was a room where we've just put in a single element, well, 2 elements essentially. This became a bit of an Instagram hit on hashtag pink bathroom things, but it's yeah, that's sometimes funny that the things you don't care about so much seem to be extremely popular because it's just a formal gesture, but we like it together with the folded mirror, which is also this blobby feature made out of polished stainless steel. This is the rear of the house with the new garden. Oops, sorry, I'm a bit fast. And a window which can fold open. Okay. Then I will talk about a recycling deposit. I've been a bit too fast again. I would say that around 90% of what we do as an office comes from competitions. And what's really special about the culture of competitions now in the last 10 to 15 years in Belgium is that it's not just about the fancy stuff. It's not just the theaters or the cultural programs or the larger housing developments. It's also about everyday stuff like recycling disposal. So already in 2010 we won this competition, which was about redesigning or redoing 5 recycling deposits in Antwerp. And the city architect Christian Boret at that time was also really proud that he could have these very vulgar programs within the realm of competitions with ambitious architects being involved. Essentially, these sites are never very very sexy, but what we well, the major point we made is that they needed to be spaces. They shouldn't be like queues of cars one after the other, or people kind of getting lost in between containers or in linear arrangements. They should be places where you can park, open your trunk, unload, meet people, maybe pick something up from someone else and take it home. So we really focused on the idea of making recycling squares, we call them. That was a bit the baseline. And this one is the third one we finished. It's essentially a very big kind of sloping space with, on the one side, a very large canopy with a staff building and a covered area. On the other side, all the containers sit. This is the building, and we kind of, excitement is always a bit of a strange word in this situation, but we're kind of excited about having this 70-meter long, very slowly inclined surface, a bit like a sort of a festival ground kind of topography, and then this big canopy being on top of it. And then we, we to produce the elevations, the square need, we came up with this signpost to help people to find the right container. And they actually form, the other phase of the square, just to, hold the space a little bit together. That's what they do. This is the building when you approach. So we also try to, have some sort of a clear figure in suburbia. Our photographer made this picture, and you can see it's not going very well with religion in Belgium. Actually, in our house we have one Maria, which we also evacuated from the container park. So it's really a thing happening. I'll talk about the building in the back now briefly, which is a building which is set back from the portico, and obviously we need to make that building and give it a cladding, and we were kind of interested in cladding the building in a very naked way, in a way, so that as if its actual outer skin is the portico. So we thought of using this industrial brick, which we could slice in order to get to a normal size for the outer shell of a cavity wall. But these new big bricks, they're quite exciting, but they don't allow for doing outside of facing masonry, because you can't make proper corners out of them, and they're made to be glued and covered in plaster. But by slicing them off, we in a way could also resolve the corner issue of the brickwork. And in a way, this you have this very industrial naked atmosphere here. This is going inside the building, where you have the same brickwork but smooth, just in the way you use it usually, but obviously not plastering it. And then there's two types of windows. There's the big, it's kind of a window to sit in, which can be closed with a fence in the evening. And then there's a round window which we drilled. I have a small video to explain that. So it takes a while. Does it work? Yes, I hope. So it's our first video, and it takes 3 minutes and 30 seconds. the suspense is building up. This is the moment of discomfort. Like in any movie, there's this problem. Okay. So I don't know. Now, so in a way, you know, this is I still think is a very funny movie. But for maybe some of you know Fischli and Weiss, these great Swiss artists, and I think this movie is also a bit inspired on their famous Lauf der Dinge, which is a very, very exciting movie just of things, you know, burning and falling over, etc. So you know, in a way, to be this is also a very funny book. We used in the early stages of the project, so it's a little bit difficult to bridge maybe this book with the recycling part, but you know there's something of you know, being an architect in a situation where, you know, architecture is not really expected to be. There's something very, very, you know, inspiring and poetical about it, and in a way, it's kind of like with Fischli and Weiss, you know, they're really their work is really strongly part of daily life, but it's also making very exciting moments, composing very exciting things with these features of our daily life. And I think that's sort of also what why this book is here now. Let me go back to yeah. So we were here. So we've seen the drilling. Actually, the drilling is under a slight angle, so it kind of works nicely with the perspective which the staff building had. There's this kind of banana enfilade through the building, and there's small steps which follow the topography of the park. And there's a second window here, which is in the same axis. Oh. Am I doing wrong? So here we are. Here we look down this enfilade, stepping up bit by bit. Here we look down the enfilade, we bumped in similar difficulties with this industrial brick on the inside. They actually nowadays, you know, they provide you with this fiberglass reinforcement, which allows you to make these bricks support the span of a door. So we could just have this solution. We would simply cut them at the edge. So that's a way, in a way, how the identity of the building came into being. We had this kind of a pegboard finishings for the cupboards in the kitchen. Here you can see the second drilled window, which, because of the angle, gets a very, you know, very special, nice kind of graphicality. This is the lunch area overlooking the park. And then this is it's the second biggest project we currently are working on. It's another competition. It's a campus for children, both young and, like, let's say from 1 to 18 years old, but they're all children with serious disabilities, often both motorical and mental. So it's quite a heavy atmosphere. And it's a campus which has 2 schools and a nursery and a dormitory or a boarding wing, therapist spaces, offices, all these things together. It's a very big building, and it kind of made us think about, you know, about the landscape and how some buildings sit in the landscape, not just, you know, nicely complementing the landscape, but also in a way taking the idea of the landscape inside. So we wondered if a building in a way could work with this idea of landscape at this scale. And this is a floor plan. It's kind of a building of single, double, and 3-floor areas, and it's kind of a column landscape, essentially, you could say. And then this is how it looks in an axo, and I hope this will work. We're at the tendering stage. This would be entirely built out of wooden structure, because I think, especially you guys in Norway, but I mean the rest of the world as well, we're all struggling with this our environmental issue. So everyone tries to think of ways to, you know, to do something. Well, in the process, talking with the client, it also appeared that some of the projects which use wood extensively, CLT projects, in a psychiatric context, really has a positive effect on how people behave. So it's not just, I mean, for us it was kind of a moment where we had some sort of a sustainability agenda, and then clients coming up with this argument. You're like, whoa, we really need to go for it, you know, and try to make it possible. So and the funny thing about building in CLT is that it is a little bit primitive. You know, you have to do short spans. You need to do a lot of beams. The beams are big. lots of columns, all sorts of things, which in a way made us think of, and now I'm going to go back to the books again, which are, sorry to. So I don't know if you guys know you know Van der Laan. I'm not sure if he's very famous. He did, however, build he didn't build a lot, but he built a convent in in Sweden also, in Tomelilla, which is south, not so far from Karlskrona, I would say, or something. Yes, but he has this kind of. He's a monk. I mean, he's dead now, but he was a monk, and his work. It's very elementary work, which essentially. Wait, I didn't put who he is. Essentially, talking to Stonehenge. Essentially was all about proportion, and generally people get very mathematical when they talk about Van der Laan. And personally also I also like some of this, compositional clues in his proportional system, but I'm looking for a certain sheet. Sorry for trying to find out. Essentially, all this work is about the shape, the distance, the size, and the shape of building elements, mainly columns, beams, rooms, and how that works together. And it offers, a totally monastic intensity on small differences. How bigger columns next to smaller columns, become a big. Here, this I wanted to show you this sheet. So it's also very boring. Sorry, but he's totally fascinated by how your experience changes, and how elements talk to each other. In when they change size and thickness, etc. It's because this also this care center. It's there's a lot of autism in there, so you have to make a building which is rich and diverse, but it shouldn't be wild and crazy. Has to be a bit restrained, a bit. Essential in a way. So this is maybe one of my favorite Thomas van der Laan moments, where you have a very chunky series of columns and a beam, and then a very slender duo of columns and beams, and then the same thing, kind of symmetrical. This crypt in Maastricht. It's I don't know, I'm always a bit excited about this simplicity. And the other book, and now I have to this is also an amazing book, big one, doesn't really fit the space. It's CLT buildings, they I think we sort of like, it's kind of a new technique, and like you always have with new techniques, the technique absorbs all of the agenda in a way, and then you have to slowly start to understand what compositionally is the potential of such a technique. And then I've used this book also a few times in school with students, and I don't know what I'm looking for now, but this is amazing. Can you see amazing spaces? That's maybe not specifically the thing I was looking for, but you know, Japanese architecture is obviously a big thing, but it's also again here, you know, it's very systematic, it's very consistent, but it's also super rich. There's always the same stuff going on, but in different densities and in different sizes. So it's not so far away from Bomans van der Laan. And what you also have, and I can't find a good image for that right now. Let me look. What you also have in Japanese architecture is that within the system, you always have these surprising moments. You know, like all of a sudden, I can't find the surprising moment. All of a sudden, there's this round window or this weird staircase popping up in the system. Where is that, Dirk? Yeah. No, it's not the best example, but you know, like you get this very. I think my camera moved a bit. Yes. You get these very figural moments within the framework of a building. So we thought that that's maybe something which helps to provide orientation and you know, make certain moments more recognizable within the whole. So outside it's maybe also a little bit restrained, a bit boring. This is a study of the facades, also made out of wood. These are some views of the inside, where you know we use a lot of column beam and then wooden floors, because you know, with too many CLT walls, to my feeling, you know, it becomes too much of a box or a crate you're in. So we like the white to be present enough just to, you know, to brighten up the spaces. But just with small boards, we kind of connect all the stuff, the windows, everything to the system. And then within the system, you know, we have these moments going on. So there's some pitched spaces. This is the space of the this is the living room of the boarding wing with a niche where you can sit in, cupboards, acoustic ceiling, and then this eye-shaped window looking out over a void in the corridor. So there's a lot of system, and it's a kind of a system which trickles down to the smaller elements, from the beams to the windows, from the windows to the doors, etc. And that I would call it's very a Japanese idea of, you know, building down from large to small scale. These are older study of the classrooms. Yeah, that's basically it. So in a way, we, you know, we with this whole thing in building with wood, you have to change your frame of reference, and that's maybe for us the also the fun of doing it, trying to see what happens. Okay, this is another tiny. So I have two more projects. Is that fine? Yes. Okay.
That's fine.
This is the river Schelde, which runs along Antwerp towards the sea. It's a kind of a tidal river, which means that, you know, it can flood the land around. the house we build is somewhere here, which is a sloping side. It probably used to be part of the old topography of the wetlands, and then the slope going more, making the transition between the built and the unbuilt part of this alluvial landscape. And quite recently they built a new big dike here, and now this can flood, and that's all very nice. But for us to build a house on a slope was super exotic because we live in a very flat part of a rather flat country. So it's a very modest house. It's almost a bungalow, you could say. And the idea of a bungalow on a slope was well, we thought was exciting. So again, in a way, this it's kind of like a walk, the building. Although it's a bungalow, it's just a small bungalow. It's also a bit of a hike. I just thought of a book which is not on my table. What is he called again? This guy, yeah, P. I'll be right back. Just 1 second. Yes, I got it. So there's this. I wasn't planning to show this book, but you might know. This book. It's this very nice architect from Sardinia, and it's all in the title, the inhabited pathway. But he did all these houses, which are built into the rocks, and then essentially the and I didn't prepare this, so I'll have to be lucky to essentially many of these schemes are about finding your way through the rocks. So the idea of a path actually extends from outside inwards. Here you can sort of see that happen. Yes. So this was a bit of improvisation. But we thought, like, when there used to be the parents' house here, and then the parents had 2 children. They knocked down the house, and then first the parents divorced, then they knocked down the house. They split the plot in 2, and then every child built a house on his side of the plot. And so the brother built a big house, and we built a bungalow for the daughter. And most houses in the street are more like villas, and they have split levels. And the split level is nice because it starts off in the landscape, but then it disconnects, and it goes its own way. So we thought, no split level. We will stick to the topography of the landscape. So essentially, you walk from the front door up these steps to the living room, and in the living room you're just high enough to look out to this patio, but also over the patio back to the landscape, in a way, back to, it's not, well, in Norwegian terms it's a lousy view, but in Belgian standards it's great. but you feel how the landscape drops down across the street, etc. So we really like this idea of going up and looking down again, and then basically the house is, it's kind of a curve and a kink and a curve with a lot of kinks inside it, which is a bit of a classical idea on beauty. You could say this simultaneity of kink and curve. Yes, so that's why I have this Michelangelo picture in here. Not so sure it makes a lot of sense to you. Yes. I don't have pictures. It looks like a bit of a lousy bungalow in this picture. This is still needs to be painted black, and then you will. It's actually already happened. I don't have a photograph, and then you just see this red patio, a bit like a stranded ship. This is a photograph of the corridor going up and looking outside. This is the same in reality. We painted industrial brick and exposed concrete ceiling. This is looking out to the patio, which is still a bit of a mess here. It's looking back to your Volkswagen at the front door. This is the living room, where we designed this transition of the hollow core slabs from one to the other direction. This is the living room. Somehow people always ask us to design a Scandinavian kind of house. They said, can't you do this kind of warm Scandinavian house? And then we're like, yeah, sure. Anyway, so I leave that judgment to you. So this is the living room. This is a beautiful picture of how you would look into the patio, but I'll also look out into the trees and not see too much of the neighbors and the street. This is how it looks now. It's a very awful picture. I'll just quickly flip away to the next one. This is another construction site situation. We did something unusual here. Generally, you say something like it looks real, but it's Photoshop. Here it's the other way around. It looks Photoshop, but it's real, because we made this brickwork in a 45-degree angle. We kind of like the idea to build a lighthouse, the bungalow, which kind of leans onto the landscape. And so we talked about doing the house in wood and building it in a light way, but then the contractor of the neighbor, of the brother, would also build a house, and he was a mason. So we thought, can't we do a light a brick building, so not have brick as in heavy clay, load bearing, but more brick as in a tile, a pattern, something graphical. So in a way, that's what we did. So we used concrete blocks, which you can see are to be painted black. We have a red patio industrial brick, and then we have this gray brick in the middle, which has a different size and in a way, a lot of effort went into not making the joints match, which is kind of the opposite of you're always trying to do as an architect. Like, no, it has to match, and here it's no, it shouldn't match. This is yeah, collage. These are some of the site pictures of the very nice work the contractors did. Yes, this is the kitchen, which in a way is also a pattern in itself, a graphical idea on a kitchen. We have similar themes in the bathroom here. Nice view throughs. Again, this sort of, you know, the paperish feel of the brickwork, which is more about, you know, the graphics and the fragility of the brickwork. This is a lamp ID which we used by drilling into the hollow core slab, and then we also painted the drilling to in a way also, you know, take the load out there also. So that's a small house. I hope in spring we could have proper photographs. So there's one project left. It's a bit of a longer story, so I hope you have some energy. This was also a competition in Antwerp for the city which owns these 3 buildings, so 1, 2, 3 buildings, but rent. This is the main shopping street of Antwerp, and you know, the rent is so high on the ground floor that the whole upper floors kind of became derelict. It was student housing for a while, but then, you know, it became too shabby even. And then when people from this shop called that the roof was leaking, then they decided they had to do something about it. And also as a city set a bit of an example. So the facades were under heritage protection, and from the 3 houses, only 1 front door was left. So basically, the brief said, can't we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 apartments, and then we'll reserve the mezzanine for shops. Even so basically a brief to clean up, tidy the facade and the roofs, and to make 8 rental apartments on top of these shops in 3 historic buildings. And in a way, the facades of this street, this late 19th century hyper eclectic kind of, it's not even neo-baroque, it's really eclectic architecture. Is really stunning, and then you go into the building and it's extremely disappointed. It looks a little bit like my own house. It's just very average interiors compared to such a facade. So somehow, in this era, they managed to organize the construction operation in a way that half of the budget went into the facade, which is quite special. So this is after they were restored with this amazing compositional talent, also to design an arch with a balcony and a column, and then a bay sticking out which actually has a ship on top of it where you can stand on, and then there's this whole turret here with golden angels carrying a fish. This used to be a fish shop. Here, you have this the loggia. You have this sgraffito infill. Then you have this other almost Venetian-like loggia, another turret. more of the stuff. But it's kind of amazing, you know, this in art history, eclecticism doesn't get a lot of credit, but you know, to design stuff like this is it takes quite some skill. So we thought, let's not be dismissive of this type of architecture. So we, in a way, also in the competition, the baseline was we have to bring these interiors closer to what this stunning appearance of these buildings suggest. The interiors weren't under heritage protection for the obvious reason that there wasn't much really to find. Even with a brief, which in a way is counter to what these buildings historically were, you know, large buildings of people trading goods, 3 of them, while central one apartments, maybe the outer ones family houses. Having to be, you know, connected is in a way a bit against the grain of history, but we thought we can actually, you know, make something more consistent even from that condition. These are reliefs we made at competition stage to explain a little bit the concern and the idea of staying close to what these buildings in essentially are. This is a new stair, actually by opening up an old, rather a banal staircase, a grand stair which leads to the 8 apartments. This is on the opposite side. Another stair was taken out and a lift came in, well, we made this full marble door. We actually did the full marble ourselves. When I was there last time, the door was open with a wedge underneath. So apparently some people had trouble to find the elevator. Anyway, apart from that, actually our project only starts at the 2nd floor with you know, very high floor heights, which gradually shrink, and then an attic floor all the way up. And the floor plans aren't so, you know, there's not so much to say about them. So because, you know, essentially we've made a new stair which kind of wraps up into a historic staircase with an elevator, and we have the central house and the 2 side houses, and this is one apartment now, and this is another one. And essentially we just had to design, you know, a way to live in these 2 separate buildings historically. And already, you know, in the past people had been making these connections, obviously. And one thing is that, you know, these fireplaces are one of the few a bit conspicuous, you know, striking elements of these interiors, even if they're not so special. They're rather average again. But what's nice about fireplace is that they're like small pieces of architecture, you know. I'll just briefly do my last book now. It's even bigger, actually, a huge book by Lutjens. And well, it's a very nice book, this one. I hope. So what's also interesting here in the book is too big, is that you know, like the way Lutyens treats the front door and how the fireplace is treated. They're kind of pieces which talk to one another, you know, like with classical architects like Lutyens, it's there's a very strong idea of the continuity between the interior and the outer appearance. And I also particularly liked, I'm not so clear in the picture, like this fireplace, because it actually feels bigger than the window doors behind. It's almost like a building in the room specifically. Anyway, so in a way we thought, can't we have interventions which can sustain the idea of a connection between in and outside, between these marvelous facades and the vulgar problem of providing apartments. And one of these issues was, in fact, that, you know, connections need to be made where fireplaces were in the way. So we wondered whether a fireplace and a door could kind of merge into a singular architectural feature. So we moved fireplaces and replaced them by new openings, which in a way merge the idea of the monumental fireplace and the connection. So here you can actually go from the central building into the side building. You can see here how the old fireplace in a way obstructed the connection between the dining area and the sitting area. Dining in one house, sitting area in the other house. This is the fireplace. This is a new arch to the kitchen in the back of the first house. These are side pictures where you can see this is not about arches as such, but it's also mainly about how the facade becomes a source of inspiration, and our new interventions produce a connection between the facade and the rest of the building. And this is when you step through this monumental door into the sitting area, where we retain the chimney piece, but we cut an opening above the chimney piece as a picture frame in marble, which allows you to look into the dining area and to also look obliquely into the street. That's how it looks. And then, you know, you go to the back, we have very high ceilings, so we added additional inner windows which bring the light deep into the building. So we've been here, we'll go here now into this apartment where another issue, you know, we had to do a kitchen here in a very high space, but you also needed to provide a place for the fridge and the plate. So we introduced a cupboard, which again is an architectural element, part of the classical atmosphere and building down from the monumental scale of the facade. Some new round openings, and again here sitting area and dining area were split by a historic party wall, where we cut into the old smoke exhausts and provided a diagonal view from one space to two other ones. And then if you look down deep into the building, there's an old corridor where we've introduced this oval window here. There's a round window which is half mirror, half looking into the bathroom. bathroom actually sits here, where there used to be the old staircase of the right house. The facades here had to be retained. This is the historic situation with the existing windows, and there's a stucco arch which we like to keep. So we've made a study. This is a study model with a shower where you walk down along, with a stucco arch and a bath below the arch. This is not the final solution, but here you can see how you walk past the shower, the half around window. This is the stucco arch in the building side with the bath below it. This is now a mirror. So I don't have a final picture of that situation, but it's a bit like, you know, your own small Trevi fountain where you can sit in. We go up another floor. This apartment is one where you didn't have balconies along the street, and we could provide with a terrace on top of the bathroom we just looked at. So it meant that we made the living room deep into the building, which then allows you to look down and walk down to walk slightly up actually to the terrace in the back. So this is a view from the front room with a new cutout looking into the back room, with a new cutout looking into the kitchen, and then eventually with some steps up to the terrace. This is looking to the front room again, where this the big the window pane, which is a monumental feature, kind of relates to the new cutout. This is the cutout we've provided to access the back building, with you know, the fridge and stuff here, and the rest of the kitchen in the other room, basically. A monumental exhaust, and then the terrace in the back, and this is looking to the street again with sort of an angular door to an old corridor, which is now a storage area. And then we go down to the sleeping area. These are studies for new doors. This is a new wardrobe. This is a bathroom, which in a way starts like a 4-meter high space and then builds down towards the shower and the toilet. Some mezzanines for children bedrooms. The apartment at the other side, it doesn't have an outdoor space, and here we retained the two chimneys, but we made a connection here and an opening here, which provides a nice view. So you can, this is one cut, this is another cut, and there's a cute chimney. So here you step down from one house to the other. Halfway you connect to the bedroom. Oops. This is looking back, looking outside. This is a rather meager fireplace. We left, but we kind of smeared some of the, you know, the marble into the new opening. This is actually a fake beam. This is a real beam, and this is also a fake beam, but they provide a nice kind of figure in the room. This is a nice place to have a coffee. And then we had this big classical kitchen piece as a monumental. They also have one like that in IKEA, but so we were a little bit nervous about doing it. But you know, with a bit more abstract take on moldings and funny ways to integrate a grip. You get a different result in a way. This is down to the sleeping area with a bathroom. We've introduced this arch, which provides a niche for a washing machine, shower area, and then one more and two more floors to go. Here we had another floor with a lot lower ceilings. We have this apartment a bit more, like simpler solutions or variations on the same idea. So new cutouts with reveals in marble, which kind of work with this Venetian loggia. You can see, things get more sober higher up, going down to the bathroom. This was, and then this is the other apartment where we have a similar kitchen solution, a new ceiling because we moved the wall here, a ceiling again which hides some ducts. Again, the idea of the window above the fireplace, some reparations of the marble. This is again this more diagonal view. This is a side picture of one of these dozens of small windows we made. Another wardrobe. This is another a problem in the monumental house. You want your bed where the fireplace sits. So generally, you get this amputation of the smoke exhaust. But we thought, can't we have something more respectful, or let's say historically interesting? So we've provided an oak veneer headboard where your bed can sit against, and you can have your book and your teeth in the wings of the headboard. A small cupboard in there, and from this bedroom you can sneak into the bathroom, which is kind of like again this folded screen feature, which contains a cupboard, a shower, and also contains the closet for the jackets from the hallway. So it's kind of this folded freestanding screen with some brass reveals the bath. And then we go to the attic. That's really the end of the last bit of the lecture. In the attic, we spaces weren't really finished historically, so we also kept a rougher feel there. So not all brick is plastered. Here we cut through the smoke exhaust under an angle. We provide a kitchen which is in a bit of an attic kitchen in itself. These are existing round openings. This is a new one. We also got a fireplace in a way out of the smoke, so totally useless feature. Nevertheless, kind of picks up the themes of the design. This is our new roof lights in the old roof. And then at the other side, there's a last apartment we're going into, some steps up from one house to the other, where we introduced a mezzanine, because it's an extremely high roof with this turret at the front. This was the existing situation. This is the new one with the mezzanine, with a kitchen tucked into the corner. This is the space under the turret, where you can have your coffee. Here we adapted these beautiful smoke exhausts a bit to make them elegantly flowing. This is the stair up, the again here the fridge is hidden in the under the stair. This is looking down to the street, and then in the we were here just now, and this is here. So this is the sleeping area of this apartment, where we couldn't resist the idea of making a shower in the turret. So this is a small model of the bathroom, which has a bath kind of in a small aisle of the bathroom, and then the turret and the connection to the turret, which is the shower now. So here you're in the shower, looking down to the bath. This is the turret with the shower. And that's, I think, the last slide of this evening. This is just this thing. This is a small book we published on our work. I might be sold out. I'm not sure, but that will probably be a third print. Yes. So that's it for me tonight.
Thank you very much, Dirk. It was really nice to see all of your, or some of your work. I'm just gonna see if we have some questions from the audience. Yeah. Well, I had actually, while we wait if something comes up, I was wondering, both your and maybe others, the recycling station project, and also this one is the client is the city, if I understood correctly, and it seems like they have an ambition or an appreciation for a certain quality, and they invest in the work. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the collaboration with the city as a client, especially for this project. It seems really an ambitious and a very beautiful project.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Well, the last project, in a way, looks very luxurious, but in the competition, our interventions were relatively modest compared to other ones, which would, destroy a lot more of the building and retain not much more than the facade, or so these few bits of marble and stone, they fitted well in, because the whole thing was as an elementary operation, structurally, etc., quite low key. So so I think in architecture, very often you really have to find the potential to do something, and that doesn't always mean the biggest possible intervention. So I think that the client is in a way, many clients are alike. There's their financial and technical constraints, but I think the nice thing here about the client is that they're really audacious, and they're not hyper concerned about, you know, what client, I mean, the users of the people renting such a flat would think, and probably with, you know, in a more commercial environment, this might have been more difficult, because not everything you do is strictly necessary.
No, it's
but because, you know, because we, a lot of things weren't invested in, you know, there was budget left to do things which weren't strictly necessary, and that's a bit how public clients work more. You know, they have a budget framework, and then as long as you fit into that framework, they give you a lot of space to operate. So, but again, like I've said in the lecture, the best clients are generally, or very often, are architects. So I always tell, sometimes you hear people say, wow, there are too many architects in the world, and I say, no, there can't be enough architects. So it's just that, you know, it's good that architects occupy different positions in society, and luckily, like the last 20 years in Flanders, there's a growing awareness that, you know, we need city architects, and good tendering procedures to provide opportunities, because sometimes people say, like, there seem to be a lot of nice architects in Flanders, but I would say there's just a lot of opportunities, or the opportunities grew. So with a fertile soil, in terms of architecture policy, you will get good designers.
good results.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems to be that they care about this, and it's obvious. In fact, there, you know, it's a new, very interesting generation of Belgian architects, and there must be support from the government.
But
so something encouraging.
Yeah. Some things, you know, like drilling a hole in a wall in a recycling park is also a bit like architecture under the radar. You know, these people need a window, and we drill a hole, and they're fine because they have their window and their view, and we're happy with our hole. And in a container park, you know, the end user is totally uninterested in architecture. I probably always complain. But yeah, nevertheless, I think it's great fun to look for. There's always potential to do architecture, I think, and it doesn't have to be necessarily more complicated or expensive or anything. But yeah, you need some. Either you need a very empathetic client, or you need, you know, to be able to do some things, to get a lot of freedom. Essentially, that's the funny thing about very pragmatic situations. You know, fire station, police stations. Generally, there's very few people around the table who really care about how the building looks. You know. They just they care about practical things, but that's you could say that's sad, but it's also an enormous potential to do what you think you should do.
Yeah, as long as there's understanding. We have a few questions, and I'm just going to read them aloud. Just a couple from Hannah Millet. It's lovely to see how much fun you have as you work out how to approach a project. How do you find a balance with this and demonstrating rigor when applying to competitions?
Yes, as you can imagine, if you try to sell a project, you have to, you explain things or you frame things a bit differently. So in a lecture, it's great to display the fun and the adventure. But obviously, winning competition, can also be about displaying the fun. But sometimes you have to hide the fun. Depending on, if you do competition for a fire station, then sometimes it's better to hide the fun, because through experience I can say that most chiefs of fire brigades are very serious people. So we recently lost 2 competitions. And then even then we were trying to be as serious as possible, but yeah, probably you always get a bit carried away in solutions which are very which resolve end up producing a nice building, but yeah, not the most practical or the most whatever, compact building or so. But I also, I hope this will last. But as long as you can have fun and maintain a viable practice, that's good. That's a strange remark, but that's okay.
Delicate balance.
Yes.
We have one more question from.
Sorry, what I wanted to say about
sorry.
is that in if we're very busy with and then we do crazier projects, and then it's not such a problem if we lose them.
Yeah.
And we had great fun. And then if we really need work, we become a bit more serious, and then but sometimes you win the crazy stuff and you lose the serious stuff also. So it's very unpredictable. But that's
difficult to find a winning strategy.
Yes, but anyway, there is an emotional layer also behind it. Yeah.
Sure. We have a question from Colm O'Brien. He's here on the video. You can open your microphone, I think. Yeah. Hi.
Thanks so much for a fantastic lecture. That was really, really inspiring. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the kind of like architecture, or the role of architects these days. It's something that we're discussing quite a lot up here, about how, in a way, as architecture, buildings become more demanding, like technically, programmatically, in terms of energy and sustainability, that sometimes the role of the architect is being lost a little bit, or that the architect spends all their time fulfilling requirements instead of maybe injecting qualities or life into buildings. And I was just wondering, because your work, it's fantastic, because I think what you're talking about, this rationality, sort of the exception and order, I think it's really in that kind of discussion, and that you can kind of keep this lightness and theatricality in your work is fantastic. So I was wondering if you could share your thoughts on that, if that isn't too broad.
No, I maybe I was also trying to illustrate that, requirements and new conditions, they bring along new potentials, like I've tried to illustrate with the big wooden project. So yeah, but it's you have to try to put your finger on the potential of the situation. I'm using the word situation because a project is not just a site; it's also the people involved and the budget and in all those restrictions. And and it's like doing all the stuff which you're expected to do, but then also scanning for the moment where you think like, aha, this is a foot in between the door, and here we can try this, and this is this will work for these people, but it's also adventurous or something. So it's sometimes it can take a while until you find that foot to you just do things and clients react and you're not really sure, or you have to change course radically because you see a foot across the street, and it's I in a way it's exciting, and I think all these with this references and books, and it's also the joy of having a lot of the stuff you like in the back of your head as an enormous archive, and then waiting for the moment when something can be picked out of the shelf of that archive and used to claim this excitement. I don't. Is that an answer?
Yeah. I think that's because I think there's something about seeing maybe the process as being more fluid as well, instead of seeing the architecture being finished and then it's just delivering the project. Mm-hmm. But I guess maybe what you're great at doing is kind of finding those opportunities during the process of building, maybe to exploit a situation in technology or in building regulations or in piping, for example, in the care home.
Yes. So because obviously a lecture is always a bit fake in a way, you explain a project, as a smooth process with clear intentions and, one or two references, but in reality, it's obviously a big mess, and, you people change their mind and you have to step back and, change stuff and, fit regulations and change the material. So in a way, you could also do a lecture on one project and then explain what a mess in a way. but I think also Venturi once made the point about about Mies, I think in the introduction of Complexity and Contradiction, about the modernist being always at war with reality, and obviously was depicting himself also as the eclectic architect who could be much more part of reality. It's a bit of a dirty realism versus sobriety or perfection, and so essentially, I also try to frame architecture not as an art, but as the art of life, like the art of living, I should say in English. So just like, in comparisons, I generally compare architecture to cooking or fashion or things which are much closer to your everyday life, because there's stuff in the fridge and there's stuff in your wardrobe, and it's not an pristine or autonomous field. It's much more mixed up. So I think the ideal is to make exciting stuff, but not too preconditioned. And sometimes it goes wrong, and then it doesn't end up in the lecture. I mean, the more experienced, the better. But certainly earlier I think sometimes, you know, you wouldn't find the foot in between the door and or it would come too late or so yeah, but there's a bit of a risk obviously at being less preconditioned because you know that your target is not as focused. But I think it's a also looking at careers of architects. I think the more amazing ones I find are not the Richard Meyers, but you know more the guys maybe like Peter Selsing or Lewerens or Asplund, you know, people who were, to my feeling, very receptive to change and very open to circumstances and new styles, etc. So you know, I think it's much more admirable, these strange careers in a way. They fascinate me more than these so-called clearer careers.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is all we have time for tonight. But yeah, as I want to say also, as Collins was a very inspiring lecture, and on what you said is something about, you know, this unexpected in the process that you have to be open to, and which could create some very nice situations or elements in the project that makes it special. So yeah, thank you again, Dirk, and on behalf of OAF also, we hope we are able to invite you here soon.
Yes, it's a pity, but I'll certainly come back to Norway soon, someday, certainly. Yes. No, thanks. It was nice to. Well, it's never as nice as a real-time lecture, but we'll make the best out of it, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, but Norway is doing good. No, it's there's a lot of. I mean, since the last decade or so, there's quite some architectural policies which seem to be more receptive, you know, to young designers getting opportunities. And
yeah, I feel like there is some support as while you're working in it, you always feel like maybe you can learn from others and do it better somehow. But there's a lot of small young offices in Oslo, especially, and that's the environment I know the best. So it seems like there's a lot of interest to it, and I suppose it would be interesting to learn more about the details of these competitions and procedures and what is the difference between.
Yes, I'm bringing it up because I think architecture policy is a very important aspect of our profession, and we should also spend time on talking about it. And I think Norway is interesting. There's stuff here and there in Germany. It's really interesting to know what's happening here and there, also in their city architects in Holland. So certainly this concept of the city architect meant a lot for Flanders, and it's a growing idea with also now in the French-speaking part of Belgium getting foot on the ground. So yes, and it's a bit unusual, obviously. It's a bit counter the whole liberal culture of yes.
Yes, in fact, it seems to be a very interesting figure that, like you say, you know, architects working with architects is there's an understanding for what you're doing. It seems productive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. yes, well then, enjoy the rest of the evening.
Yeah, you too. We'll talk soon.
Yes, bye. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.